Welcome to Live in the Markets with Trader Nick. In this show, Nick will cover the latest market trends, whether they're rising or falling. Stick around to hear about trade ideas, latest news, and much more. Remember that trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Today's stream is made possible by our partners and sponsors. If you're looking for a new broker, trying to get funded, or looking for a trading community to join, consider checking out the links in the description below. By using these links, you'll get access to great products and be supporting the channel.
Welcome to my live streams where I take trades on real accounts, no nonsense, no fake MT4 profits. On my streams, you'll usually see me taking a look at software tools that we use to analyze the markets to try and get the latest market trends that are going on. We study things like the Commitment of Traders report, which shows us what institutional traders are buying and what they're selling. We look at seasonality to try and predict and find opportunities in the market based on historical data. Stay tuned for the second half of the stream where we'll bring in guests from all over the place to add commentary on what's going on in the markets. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another live stream, taking a look at the charts, talking about setups, and much, much more. Thank you for 1080p, Nick. You're welcome. Yes, we had to upgrade our subscription for the software that we use, but we are now streaming in 1080p. It's a cool new world. Now you guys can see me even more clearly. I know that's what everybody wanted to see. Hope everybody's doing well. It is Tuesday, of course. Getting into the trading week and some things making moves, despite it being December. I've been talking about this recently that, sometimes during the month of December, it can be quiet, but there can still be some great trading opportunities out there. Let's start out. We'll take a look at the dollar, see what's going on with the dollar here from a price action standpoint. It is looking, in my view, pretty weak. You have some resistance here, just shy of where we currently sit. So we'll go ahead and mark this up. So for those of you guys watching the dollar, again, big resistance around here. It's probably a 50% retracement that I think if price does retest, you might get some reaction off of. This is a 4-hour chart, by the way, for those of you who are more on the day trading side of things. That means that there could still be some room to the upside for the dollar on these shorter time frames. Meaning, like let's say that you're looking at this thing and you're saying, okay, well, I see there's bullishness, right? We got the 38.2, tag this. Oftentimes on my stream, what we'll talk about, and let me see if I can get my pen pulled up here. Oftentimes on the stream, we'll talk about both the day trading side of things as well as the swing trading side of things, so that you guys can, for the different styles of traders out there, you can get some value out of the stream. So I try and focus on both. Again, on the higher time frames, the dollar looks weak once it gets up to 105.75, in my opinion. But it leaves room for the day traders to get out there and potentially see some more upside. Let's look at some individual crosses. We'll look at Euro USD here this morning on the 4-hour chart first. Excuse me, guys. And taking a look at the Euro dollar. We've talked about this one recently, how it seems stubbornly bullish. Price continues to find support as it retests areas like 1.046. So we'll start on the 4-hour chart, and what we can see here is that we do have some support here that seems to be holding. Now, if you're a intraday trader, again, watch for these levels, depending on your style of trading. If you're a breakout trader and you're bearish in the euro dollar, maybe watch for some of these levels to break. If they do break, there might be some opportunities there. But for the swing trading side of things, I think you do probably get some reaction from these levels on the bullish side of things, right? So just my thoughts on the euro dollar. It seems like the path of least resistance for this one is to the upside, right? You've got that overall upward trend and seems like it wants to continue that. So we'll continue watching the euro dollar, of course, a big one. Let's move on. We'll take a look at GBP USD. Pound US dollar, also looking structurally bullish here this morning. Take a look at this level here, which I believe is probably a 38.2. Yep, the 38.2, stubbornly holding. Honestly, if you're bullish on the pound dollar, there might be some risk to reward here just looking at something like this, right? Stops below this level. And this is more of a swing trading idea. And actually, if we look at the daily chart, there might be some resistance that we could consider as well. So you have resistance there off the higher time frames, right? So back to the 4-hour chart, zoom in a little bit here. If we're thinking about, okay, the pound USD from a risk reward standpoint, this is not bad, right? You have that potential to catch a nice runner if this trend does continue. You've got the 38.2, which is holding well. So something like that could actually make some sense. Just going off of momentum, right? The pound USD, not my favorite cross right now. There's some other ones that we'll get into. I'll talk about my personal watch list as we go along. Right now, I'm just covering the big markets for people who watch them. We'll continue to take a look at that. Jello, I appreciate you, my friend. Coffee is less than daily dose of Trader Nick. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Let me know, guys, by the way, what charts you would like me to look at. I'd be happy to take some requests here from you as we get going. I'm starting out just by taking a look at some of the majors. Of course, the pound USD seems like it has some momentum to the upside and could continue here. We'll have to watch to see if this level holds. You probably see more rally. So I would say bullish in this general area until proven otherwise, right? If we stop out, of course, we stop out. That's, how that goes. Not a trade I'm actually going to take, and I'll talk about that more in just a little bit. There are trades that I like a little bit more right now, so we'll discuss those so I can keep some dry powder for those setups. But again, if you're watching pound dollar, I don't hate it. The long side looks pretty bullish overall there. All right, let's see what's next. Some people requesting gold, dollar CAD. Yeah, let's look at dollar CAD. What's going on with USD CAD today? We'll do this, USD CAD. Wow, look at this. USD CAD looking really strong here this morning. There was a time in my trading career where every time something would pop, this is just off the top of my head, every time a market would pop, I would think to myself, okay, now it's got to come down, right? This was like early days 101 my approach. Every time I would see something pop like this, I'd be like, okay, it's tagging resistance. It's got to come down now. It is resistance, and that's not, that's half of it, but it's also understanding, the bigger picture, the story of what's going on. So let's look at the daily chart. So here's your daily chart on dollar CAD, and this is going to be a full breakdown for those of you who like dollar CAD or you watch it. Here's my thoughts. Okay, so dollar CAD has this uptrend on the daily chart, right? Pretty strong uptrend too. Not only that, we did in fact start to see this thing want to reverse. In fact, you can see that if we take a look at this, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. We topped out around 1.4, just shy of it. Price topped out, sold off pretty aggressively, and put in lower highs all the way back to this trend line where it found support once again. The key thing here is, though, that on the daily chart, we have this overall higher time frame uptrend. And just recently, we've actually just broken out of a resistance point that was really strong for sellers, right? So if anything, dollar CAD actually looks pretty bullish to me. So I'm not going to buy it here. I know traders who trade the break and they do quite well with it. There are styles for everybody. For me, what I'd be saying is, okay, we've got that breakout on the higher time frame. Let's look for opportunities to possibly go long on this move on a retest. So I'm going to draw my fibs from the swing low all the way to the previous top that we just formed here this morning about an hour ago. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to be a part of this move. I actually want to be long on some of this, but where can I get in? Is the entry here? Possibly. That might be an aggressive entry, but that's probably like the 23.6. But for me, I'm looking probably more in this zone. This is generally where I like to pick stuff up. I like fibs. I've been using fibs for a very long time. There's nothing, they're not magical. They're not like the Holy Grail or anything like that, but they are a nice little confluence factor that I typically use in my trading. So if I was looking at dollar CAD, right? Let's take a look at these levels and pick out our favorite. So am I going to go for this one? I don't love it, right? Yes, there was a strong pivot there. And maybe if you're very bullish on dollar CAD, this could be a trade number one, right? And if you're familiar with my trading, if you come on the live streams every day, where are my regular friends at? Type me in the chat if you're somebody who tunes in on a very regular basis to the streams. You guys already know I got huge appreciation from my regulars. You guys are awesome. I have so much support here on the YouTube community. It's been phenomenal doing it. But if you're a regular, let me know in the chat, because you guys probably know what I'm going to say before I say it. That's what we do here. This is trading. Trading is incredibly repetitive, and it's meant to be, right? If you're running a profitable business, you don't change up what you're doing every day. You do the same things over and over. Starbucks sells coffee every single day, and they're constantly trying to figure out, how do we market better? How do we get more coffee in front of more people? How do we get more locations in more places? They're doing the same thing every day, and that's why they're so profitable, right? Trading, same game. We're trying to do the same things every day and sell coffee at our coffee shop, which is the charts, right? Cool. Lots of you guys. What's up, guys? Appreciate you. I really do mean that. Having an audience is such a humbling and cool experience to know that there's other traders out there who that vibe with my style, for lack of a better word. Like I said, I do like this thing on a pullback, but I've got to wait for the pullback, right? If you're a regular, you know that. Another thing you might know if you're a regular is that if we're looking at this thing, I might take more than one attempt to go long, right? You probably have heard me talk about, having a one or even three opportunities to try and pick up a trade. I don't love this area, so I'd probably skip it. But trade number one idea could be the 38.2. It's all right. It's not my favorite. And trade number two could be where I actually like this a lot, which is that 61.8% retracement. It lines up really nicely with the consolidation breakout right here. Huge break. Love that momentum that picked up right there. So if price did pull back into that area, dollar CAD could actually be a nice long setup based on how I like to trade, right? Momentum, pullback setups, and trying to trail stops. So you guys already know that if you're regulars, but if you're new, what we often try to do is we take trades in baskets or try to do it more than once, right? Entries are very difficult to do, right? It's not every day that I catch a perfect entry. And sometimes I don't really think that you do need to have it perfect all the time. You just need a decent win rate and let your winners run. So let's keep going. We'll take a look at some more charts. I do like dollar CAD, but it's a bit of a ways away before I can actually get involved with this one. So maybe we'll come back. Let's now take a look. Dollar CAD is considered a strong buy on the Edge Finder right now, which is interesting. Though the problem is, again, like I said, it hasn't given us a pullback yet to take advantage of. Let's take neutral out of the picture here and talk about our watch list for the day. US 30 possible buys, S&P 500 and NASDAQ also possible buys. Let's take a quick look together at some of the indices and see if there's anything there for us today. SPX 500, I want this thing on a deeper pullback. I am willing to take another attempt. I did end up buying this thing, and it did not work out for me yesterday. I took actually, did I take a loss? I'm very close to taking a small loss, I believe, on this trade. Yeah, I'm probably going to take a small loss on this trade. I just checked the old account. And I can't trade, just for transparency, I can't trade US 30, SPX 500, or NAS 100 on this particular broker, sadly. Oanda is only currency trading for American clients. But I will say this, I'm interested in possibly retrying my S&P 500 idea on the long side. Should we see price come down a little bit further into possibly like this 39.40, 39.50 mark, I think that I'm going to keep fishing for a buy setup on the S&P. And I've talked about that a couple times here recently. The S&P 500, yes, you have a lot of headwind. You have, recession fears and that sort of thing. But I'm just going to take setups and momentum. And if I'm wrong, no worries. I'll take a small loss. In fact, I like the S&P 500 a lot if we can get a deeper retracement. So I won't even mind. If I stop out today, that's perfectly fine with me because I might actually get a better entry around here, around 39.50. That's where I'd like to get a second try going on the S&P 500. And my thought process on this is here. So again, my first attempt, going back to what we just discussed with taking baskets or trying more than once on our trades, I'm looking at the S&P 500 and I'm saying, okay, my first attempt might not have been so hot, but my second attempt here around 39.45, 39.50, I like that one too. And I'll put a stop below the structure and I'll say, hey, you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll take a loss under here. And if I'm right, I could catch some decent risk reward on this move. Again, we had a lot of bullishness that came in. I don't think that bulls are completely out of the way yet. I think that buyers have an opportunity on a pullback here. So this is my thought process. What's your take on euro dollar? What's up, Ivan? Good to see you, my friend. That's a good question. Let's take a look at euro dollar in just a moment. I looked at it briefly, but we'll go back and just double check for Ivan, just for Ivan. Let's see. Yeah, so I like the S&P. It's on my watch list. I mean, so is NAS 100 and US 30. But the S&P 500 is my favorite one to trade. So I'm looking at S&P 500 here today. If it can give me this pullback, I'll be happy to take that. In fact, I do hope that I get that entry because that one looks juicy to me. Now, I put out a tweet. We did a poll yesterday or recently whether or not you use Twitter. And I think it was like 75% of you guys said that you do use Twitter. If you do use Twitter, can you do me a favor and give me a follow? Twitter. I've been trying so hard to build up a little bit of an audience on Twitter because I'm new to Twitter. I'm going to drop my link in here. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter if you have it. Click this link and follow me on Twitter. I would appreciate it a lot. I'm trying to grow my Twitter audience. By the way, click this link. There's some free stuff, some PDFs that might be helpful to you. But yeah, I just joined sort of the Twitter crowd in the last month or two, and I would really appreciate if you guys give me a follow. I'll see if any of you guys follow me right now. What's up? A couple of you guys might see yourself on the screen right now. Thank you for the follows. Yeah, it helps. I'm trying to get my my feet off the ground when it comes to Twitter, but I'm enjoying it so far. Let's see. Did any more of you guys follow? There we go. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Yeah, so I do like the S&P. I've been calling out some ideas and stuff on Twitter as well, so you can keep up with me there if that's something you're interested in. So yeah, euro dollar, we'll just scoop back to it. So what I mentioned, Ivan, and for anybody else who's watching euro dollar, here's your 4-hour chart. I'm not actually buying it myself. I don't love buying the euro right now. It's not my favorite of trade setups. I've mentioned, and I'm going to continue to mention some more setups that I like better personally. But the euro dollar, for those of you who follow it, looks bullish at levels of support like this, right? I would argue that there's probably buyers in this area that we could see some strength pick up from those areas. That's pretty much it. Until that breaks bullish. If it breaks, hey, maybe there's some sell setups we could start experimenting with, but that's neither here nor there. It's not happening right now, so we ignore it. Falcon, please don't spam the chat. And if you want to take a look at pound dollar, please just zoom back in the stream. We already covered it and went through it. So let's see what else. Gold is, of course, another one we could take a look at. Keep up with gold today. So here's your 4-hour chart with gold. Gold had a really nice run up to 1800, tagged 1800, and has since retreated. My thought process on gold is that I think we see more upside on gold. And this is my opinion. And we'll go take a look at the Edge Finder and see if there's anything backing that too. But we had this explosive move, right? Big breakout right here, follow through, pull back, follow through, pull back. We're starting to see the stuff that I typically look for with bold trends is breakouts, retests, breakouts, retests, breakouts, right? So if we're anticipating this gold trend to continue, the next move would be a breakout, right? And so I think your risk reward there is half decent on gold. So 1777. I mean, for the bulls right now, they should probably see a rally. If it doesn't rally, bulls could be a little bit more in trouble, right? You want to see this thing after it breaks out of a long-term downtrend. You want to see that trend very quickly find its bearings, right? This is a wide area of support. Let's see if we can narrow things down a little bit. Yeah, look at that. It just barely tested this area here. Is that a 61.8? Just about a 61.8% retracement. Seems to be off to a decent start. Again, gold looks bullish to me. We'll see if we can retest the highs around 1809 and possibly even breaking out further. So that would be my opinion. I think bullish in this area. That's my thought process on it. Let's just for future reference on the producer side, let's avoid sending direct links to Drew. I'm going to try and just keep them on the database because it's a little bit better for the tracking everything. Dollar yen. Yeah, let's look at USD JPY. Look at this structure, man. This is such a clean example of a downtrend right now. So taking a look at dollar yen here, dollar yen broke through this support, and this support level was like, you can clearly see this support level was such a line in the sand for bulls. And as soon as that broke, you had a lot of buyers who basically bailed, right? They're like, nope, not going to hold on to this. And probably rightfully so. That's a huge level for this thing to break, right? So if that level breaks with such decisiveness, and we see a clean break through the lows like that, what's the answer? What's the next solution? Well, in my opinion, that tells us buyers are beat here, and there's no, I can't assume that this thing is just going to rally into the heavens from here. I'd be more gambling in that case. If I'm just looking at market structure, what I'm saying is, okay, this thing is bearish, and now we have to treat this as what it is. It's resistance, right? So if price does come up into that area again, we'd probably expect dollar yen to stay bearish. So dollar yen on a retest, if anything, this looks like a sell zone to me. I'll just be very careful looking at that. So yeah, let's see what else we have on the watch list. Watch list today, still NZD pairs. We have US 30, we have S&P 500, NASDAQ 100. So like I mentioned, I do like the indices. That's one of my favorite trades right now that I'm watching. NZD, let's take a look around the room at some NZD pairs for those of you guys who are watching it. Almir has asked for Euro NZD. I'll take a look at that one. As you guys know, if you've been watching the streams, I recently closed a trade on that one. Ended up being a good one for us. By the way, you guys, what I'm looking at, this is the Edge Finder. If you're not already using the Edge Finder, it is a market scanning tool that allows us to take a look at many different things, fundamental analysis, sentiment analysis, and a bit of technical analysis, and automatically generates a watch list for us that we talk about pretty much every day on stream. There's so many different features within the Edge Finder. You can take a look at heat maps. For example, if you want a currency strength meter, this thing essentially will show you the strongest and weakest of each one of the different currencies. If it would load, it's being slow today. Maybe it just needs to be restarted. Hold on. US 30. Still, ooh, look at that. Actually, X 500. I'm keeping my eye on this one. This is one that I really want myself. What is the Edge Finder is going to sleep this morning? It seems like. Did you already go over your open trades? I did. I told you guys I'm in my S&P 500 trade. That's pretty much my only one that I've got right now. And looking to actually potentially take a second entry on the S&P. By the way, you guys, here is the heat map that I mentioned. So if you want to look at like the heat map every day, you can see, for example, what the major indices are doing. You can see what the dollar cross is. We've actually added a currency heat map for each one of these. So here's like euro pairs today. Euro CAD is the biggest up move. What is Euro NZD doing? Is Euro NZD? Oh, Euro NZD is actually down. Pound pairs, pound CAD is the biggest up one. Euro CAD, Aussie Swiss, biggest Swiss pair, JPY pairs, AUD JPY, Aussie CAD, NZD CAD. So these are some of your leaders of the day. If you ever want to use the currency heat map, just head over to the market heat map page, and you can look at all the different assets and which ones are the leaders and the laggers of the day. You also have the smart money tracker. This allows you to track what institutional traders are buying and selling according to the commitment of traders report that comes out once a week from the CFTC. We're allowed to see that. It's not secret information. It's public information that we've actually just compiled and automated into our software. So if that's something you want to look at, just head over to the Smart Money Tracker. You also have the Fed Tracker. This allows us to look at projections for the Federal Reserve and the latest stats and figures that could likely impact price. And in fact, we've even broken it down by the dollar, stock market impact, and gold impact based on the latest figures, right? So all of these things can be found within the Edge Finder. This is why we built the tool. If you don't already have it, get it for free today to try it out. Click this link. We just dropped in the chat. We can drop it one more time if you guys don't mind. Click that link and then fill out the form. It's going to take you to a spot where you get information on it. And then we'll have one of our team members reach out to you to actually get access to the Edge Finder. So yeah, take advantage of that free trial today. Click that link and you should get a message from one of our team members pretty soon. USD CAD, we took a look at dollar CAD earlier in the stream. So yeah, this is amazing. I think it should be in all traders' arsenal. Thanks, Raphael. Yes, we've worked really hard on this tool. It is a project of love, to say it in the most cheesy way possible. It really is. It's a lot of like feedback from the community, as well as things that I look for in my trading and what other traders on our team do, and all sorts of stuff. We've basically compiled tools for traders all within the Edge Finder. It's also a web-based application, so you can get it from anywhere. You can get it on your phone, etc. Yeah. The man with the golden Edge Finder. I like it. It should be a movie. Does anyone know if Nick trades CPI news? I don't usually trade the actual news event, but I will oftentimes hold on to news or hold on to a trade through news. Not even on purpose, just because as a swing trader, you inevitably hold trades through news unless you're closing everything before news, in which case you almost have to be a day trader because you're constantly closing trades because there's always news, right? There's constantly news coming to the markets. What is this? What is this self-promotion? What's up, man? There's better ways to grow an audience, honestly, than to just, try and jump in on somebody else's stream. Just put out good content. That's how you grow an audience. Yes, I'm a swing trader. Yep. I predominantly look at like the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. That's what has worked for me for years. It's also what fits my schedule. I don't really, I never loved the idea of doing like, 6 hours a day on the chart or anything like that, right? Question for you guys. Let's do a poll really quick. We've got about just a minute here before we have somebody take over the stream. Let's do something really, really quick. Let's drop a link. We're going to drop the yes or no link in the chat for the producers. I'm going to put up text on the board so we can see it. Do you swing trade? Yes or no? And we're going to use the link in chat to vote. All right, let's do a poll here today. We've been doing these polls. They're really fun. We're going to drop the link to the yes or no chat, or in the chat. We're going to link a poll here, and then I'm going to actually pull up the results for you once we get started. So click this link that's being dropped in the chat. What's up, Jake? Good to see you, man. I just want to see how many swing traders or day traders we have in the audience. Do we get that? Yep, should be all set up. Should make a podcast. I have a podcast. I've done some podcast episodes. Let's see. Where's that link? There we go. All right, guys, click this link right here. Vote. Do you swing trade? Yes or no? I'd be curious to see a lot of you guys who are regulars on the stream. If you're more day traders, if you're more swing traders, click this link. And then we're going to have the results shown on the screen here in just a second. I love you too, Colin. I've never been to Africa. I would actually love to move, not move. I don't know. Maybe I would. I don't know. I'd love to visit Africa. That would be really, really cool. Yes, please click the link here to vote. We're going to get the results on the screen here for you guys. Do you swing trade? Yes or no? Let's do this. I'm going to pull up the yes or no poll results and see what you guys have to say. We got 7 votes. Yes. Okay, a lot of swing traders in the house. Again, cast your vote. We'll get it up on the screen here for you. Trader Jake says he's waiting for the link. You're going to Madagascar this month. That is really cool. That'd be a really cool place to visit. Yeah, so let's do this. We'll update the votes, see what you guys have to say. 16 votes. Wow, you guys are swing traders. We got swing traders in the building today. 81% of people said yes so far to do you swing trade, yes or no? It's always interesting. I've been loving these polls because it's so interesting for me just to see what the audience has to say. Like what do you like? Learning about the audience is really cool. Let's do one more refresh here, see what's going on. 23 votes. Okay, a little day trader stepped in. We're going 7, basically 7 people said day traders. 16 people said yes, they do swing trade. So interesting. Always curious to see. I don't know. I've always liked swing trading because it fits my schedule best. I mean, even before I went full time, doing the YouTube and the trading stuff, even before then, when I had a job, it was just so much easier to my schedule. And even when there was a period of time where I worked from home and traded from home, and I didn't have an office, I didn't have an in-person thing. I had all the time in the world, and I hated trading for like several hours a day. That was not my thing. Like, I liked the thought process of like getting on the chart, spending an hour a day looking at the chart, doing my thing, and then stepping away. It just suits me better as a person. And it's not that it's better. It's just, it's, personal preference. So we do have a lot of swing traders in here, and we also have a pretty good number of day traders. And I like to see that mix. It's cool. Every time I try to swing trade Forex, I always lose. Why is that? It's a bit of a different style than day trading. And like I said, I don't think it's for everybody. Not everybody likes to swing trade. Some people like to day trade because they can, spend a couple hours on the charts and then be done for the day, and there's no trades open. And that's kind of nice too. So just depends, personal preference. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the stream. Let's do one more final results here. Final results are in 19-11 in terms of do you swing trade. Don't go anywhere. We've got another show here picking up right where I leave off. We'll have some more technical charting and setups with Jake. He's awesome. So stick around for his show, which is starting right now. See you guys in just a second.
And remember to check the description below if you're looking for a trading community to join.
What's going on, guys? It's good to be back. I missed the stream last week. I missed you guys because I was having some computer issues. I woke up and my computer was running like it had sand in its pants, and I had to figure that out. So I'm glad to be back this week. Everything's sorted and ready to talk about the markets, talk about everything that I'm looking at. What's good, Nate? What's good, XD? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat some things that you guys want to talk about. I am going to run through like sort of some of the stuff that I am looking at. Also, if you notice behind me, my background is a little different. I did move again. So had a lot going on this last couple of weeks, but I'm settled in now, ready to get back to work. So what's good, Imran? Yeah, we're going to talk about everything today. We're going to start probably with the USD pairs like normal. Euro USD, USD CHF. All right, cool. And feel free, guys, to ask me other questions other than just pair requests, although I'm happy to do pair requests as well. All right, so let's get into it, right? So the first thing that I've been kind of looking at on the DXY is basically just this downtrend that the dollar has been in, and we have just a lot to think about when it comes to the dollar right now, right? We have a lot to think about when it comes to the dollar because here's where it stands. Fundamentally, we actually got pretty good jobs numbers, right? We actually got pretty good jobs numbers at the NFP. We got pretty good PMI numbers, right? So manufacturing is good, jobs are good. The data that we've been getting for the dollar has been good. However, right, the dollar has been very bearish, and even as far as like when those NFP numbers came out better than expected, if we go back to last Friday, right, we can see exactly what those numbers were. These NFP numbers came back way better than expected. Unemployment was very neutral, and average hourly earnings actually went up. Those things should have been bullish for the dollar, but instead the dollar continued to go down. When we look at the DXY, we just continued to melt, right? We had this initial spike, and then we started to melt. And then we have to ask ourselves why. Why did that happen? Why did the dollar continue to go down after those good numbers came out? And the reason is that prior to that, we had Jerome Powell actually make some dovish statements about the dollar. Don't quote me exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, at some point, we're going to have to slow down the rate hikes, and we may see that slow down as soon as December, right? So now there's this kind of battle between, are we going to get a 75 basis point rate hike in December, or are we going to get a 50 basis point rate hike in December's FOMC meeting, right? And that's coming up pretty soon now. So the closer that we get to that FOMC, in my opinion, the more of a tug of war is going to be happening between those bulls and those bears on the dollar. NAS 100 taking a dump. We'll look at that for sure. How do you join a trading community? You can check the links down in the description, Philip. I think you'll find what you're looking for. But so essentially, we have this battle between camps right now for the dollar. Like who wins, right? Is it the data? Is it the jobs number that would the jobs numbers that would traditionally tell us, hey, you know what? The labor market's still strong. We can do that 75 basis point rate hike. Or do we take Jerome Powell at face value and start to consider a 50 basis point rate hike coming in the next FOMC meeting, right? Also, we do have like some recession fears. We have major companies starting to do some layoffs. So we have just a lot going on for the dollar right now. In my opinion, it is not as straightforward as it has been, right? It's not as straightforward as it has been on the dollar. So for a long time, the dollar was just longs, right? We remember this time. This was a great time in the market to be longing the dollar. Then we broke this trend here, and then it was just shorts, right? Shorting pullbacks. And now the question is, as we approach this level of resistance here, right? As we approach this level of resistance here, is this a shorting opportunity on the dollar, or are we going to be waiting for a reclaim of this level and to get long on the dollar, right? And the truth is, we just won't know until we come and test that area, right? And I consider myself a very reactionary trader. I'm not necessarily trying to make bold predictions about what's going to happen about the market because, I could be very, very, very off depending on new data, depending on anything, right? At some point, he's going to back off and tank the dollar. I think probably that has to happen at some point, Nate, because I don't think the current economy can withstand this onslaught of 75 basis point rate hikes, right? So at some point, it's going to temper down to a 50 basis point rate hike, and then that's going to temper down to a 25 basis point rate hike, and then we're going to end up going into a more zero rate or even negative rate at some point, even if it's a few years down in the future. So that's the cyclical nature of the Federal Reserve and the markets in general. The question is, when is that going to happen? And is that going to happen, at least for our sake, right, as traders who are trying to catch these moves in the next couple of weeks, is that going to happen in the next December meeting? The dollar is going to go to 105.6 and then reverse to bearish. See, I try to not make bold predictions like that, and that very well may happen, Gift, but I just don't know, right? I just don't know. So here's what I'm going to be looking for, right? And I sent this out to my community, and this is what I've been talking about as well, is I have sort of a neutral approach with the dollar right now, where I'm basically just going to be looking at this area right here and seeing how we react on this area, right? If price pushes up into this area on the dollar index, and then we start to reject out of there, I think it may be worth looking at some dollar shorts. And one pair that we could catch that on, right, is maybe like pound USD, right? Pound USD. If pound USD sweeps these lows right here, and then we can reclaim this area and we get that bullish confirmation, right? Why not continue to play this uptrend on pound USD? Catch this nice continuation of this uptrend. And that overall is a nice setup in my opinion, right? When we take a look at the fibs here and we're just measuring what this pullback looks like, we're looking at like a 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, right? Down right here on this level of support. So I like this. I like this for pound US dollar. Just from a purely technical perspective and a trend following perspective, we've been in a nice uptrend. And if that dollar weakness comes back into the market, right, we've been seeing that dollar pump here in the last couple of days. Whoops. Sorry, guys. My fingers are a little slower than my brain this morning. But if we move up into this area and then we get those rejections, right, that may be a really, really nice opportunity on something like pound US dollar for this little correction, buy entry right here off this level of support. I think same thing can be said for the euro, right? We've seen the euro kind of lead this impressive rally here this week. Like, we have euro rallying versus a lot of pairs. Euro looks pretty solid to look at for some longs, right? And it's not the cleanest, but again, if we really measure the true impulsive move here on the 4-hour time frame from the lows to the highs, we're looking at like that 0.5 to 0.618 retrace right into this area where we could potentially get that nice move to the upside to just continue playing this uptrend, right? We have been on an uptrend on euro dollar, pound dollar, right? New Zealand dollar. I think it makes sense. It makes sense to continue playing that if we get the appropriate rejections here on the DXY. So I'm going to be looking at the DXY. I'm also going to be looking at the news, right? Like, if we have any headlines, if we have any comments from Federal Reserve members, anything that could give us a little bit of an edge as to whether the United States dollar is going to be getting a 50 basis point or a 75 basis point rate hike, I think that overall is going to determine the direction that the dollar goes. And not necessarily whether we get a 50 basis point or a 75 basis point rate hike, but do people think we're going to get that rate hike, right? Because it doesn't necessarily matter what happens on the day the news drops. What happens is what people think leading up to that news, right? If people think we're getting a 75 hike, we're probably going to rally into that news. If people think we're getting a 50 hike, we're probably going to sell off into that news, right? That's generally how that works. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out on the headlines, keeping my eye on the news, as well as looking at the DXY to determine whether the dollar is weak or whether the dollar is strong, right? And we have a pretty light news week this week for the euro and for the pound, right? So if we just quickly scan through the news here, we do have some euro stuff here, like an orange folder euro. But that's it. That's it. There's nothing on the pound. There's really nothing on the euro. So, taking a look at euro USD or pound USD, those moves this week are going to be most significantly impacted by the dollar. So that's kind of where I'm at with the dollar. And generally, those are kind of two things that I'm going to be looking at. Now let's show, yeah, by the way, guys, Trader Nick just posted it in the chat. The show is not ending. I will be going on until like 11 a.m. or so Eastern Standard Time. So another like 45 minutes or so. So head over to the A1 trading channel. The stream is not ending. Just head over to the A1 trading channel. You can either type that in the search bar, or you can click on the link that Nick just posted. So that's generally how I'm thinking about the dollar right now. Like, I think, you know, if we're just purely looking at market structure and I don't consider any other variable besides the technical analysis here, I think, you know, the easiest, you know, no-brainer analysis here is to look for dollar shorts up into this level of resistance here, right? We push up into this level of resistance. That would also be, if we measure the fibs from the swing highs to the swing lows, that would be like that 50%, 61.8 area. And honestly, that looks like a pretty decent dollar shorting opportunity, right? So that's kind of like, you know, option number one. USD CHF is strong right now. Yeah, but then here's the thing, right? So here's why the dollar's in a bit of a tricky spot. USD CAD has moved up into this +7 buy rating. And granted, the CAD has been very weak. The CAD has been very weak, so a lot of this is coming from CAD weakness, in my opinion. But USD CAD has moved up into a +7 buy. And if we just take a look at this USD CAD chart, guys, I mean, it's just a beautiful uptrend, right? We've just been trending up, trending up, trending up. We put in these lows right here. We're making new highs. And I did send out this analysis to my group, and this is something that I was looking at before we got this move here this morning. I was potentially waiting for a pullback into this area to get long on USD CAD based on those factors, right? So I think let's talk about scenario number two for the dollar, right? We just talked about the bearish scenario for the dollar. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm very much an if-then type of trader. So I look for a certain set of conditions and then I make decisions if those conditions get met, right? I'm not necessarily trying to make bold predictions. I'm not saying the dollar will go up, the dollar will go down. I'm saying if the dollar reacts a certain way off of this level, then I'll make my decision on what I want to do then, right? So let's just take a look at this little level right here. And what if the dollar can actually break through this area here and reclaim this, put in a higher low, and start to get those confirmations up? Well, at that point, I'm going to want to be longing the dollar because then we've reclaimed a significant area in the market, right? Maybe we have something coming out of the Fed that's a little more hawkish than expected, right? And then that would create a good dollar longing opportunity. Well, which pairs are the best to capture that dollar longing opportunity? Well, I think USD CAD is a great one if you can manage to get buys, right? If you can manage to buy the dollar versus the CAD at a decent level here, I think that makes the most sense, right? And if we look at the 4-hour chart, we may potentially get a pullback opportunity into this little 4-hour level of support. And then at this level, we could potentially, right, we could potentially buy into that higher low and try to play USD CAD up to this level here, right? So USD CAD looks pretty bullish right now, which is interesting because I think a lot of that is coming from CAD weakness, right? And we know the CAD has been weak because when we look at Euro CAD, when we look at Pound CAD, we look at NZD CAD, right? Those pairs have been flying versus the CAD. And I think playing that CAD weakness makes a lot of sense, especially if we get some dollar strength to come in. Hopefully you guys are following me. I know a lot of times I'm very like scenario oriented, and you know, a lot of times the scenarios that I lay out, they don't play out perfectly, but at least I have a game plan. And you know, I'm ready for whatever happens if it does happen, right? So USD CAD, we have a +7 here on the edge finder. Obviously, that's going to make me very bullish. If we get this pullback here, into this level, right, I think there's a decent buying opportunity right there to kind of buy it off this little, you know, H1 support that we have just created recently. So there's your dollar long and your dollar short bias, depending on, honestly, what we get here on the DXY, right? Depending on what we get here on the DXY. Want me to look at silver, GBP buying opportunity? Yeah, we'll take a look at some of this stuff. I do want to briefly look at like something like Euro CAD, and this thing has just been so bullish. I mean, guys, look at this uptrend. This is just like a beautiful uptrend. I haven't been able to tag any trades on Euro CAD. I have tagged some really nice trades on some other CAD pairs like CAD CHF, which maybe we'll talk about in a bit. But right now, Euro CAD has been on an absolute tear. I was waiting. This was the setup that I was waiting for here before London session, this past London session. I was waiting for a pullback into this area to potentially get long off of these lows. That is just never happened, right? CAD just went super, super bearish. Euro went strong, and we are just flying here. So I'd say, you know, playing this trend, playing the continuation of this trend makes sense, right? I mean, if we look at the fib here, like maybe you could play a little like 0.618 pullback here. In my opinion, like it's not nearly as strong of a buy as it would have been down here. But, you know, from a purely trend following perspective, especially if we're looking on the lower time frames here, if we pull back into this like 61.8 area, you know, potentially some Euro CAD buys here would make sense, right? Just dipping into that little 30-minute level of support potentially could be a good longing opportunity on Euro versus the CAD, right? CAD has been weak. I think Euro's kind of having a bit of a breakout moment right now. Like Euro is doing pretty well right now. And I think buying Euro versus the CAD makes sense, right? But only if we get the setups that we're looking for, right? So I would say this is option number 1 on Euro CAD. I really, really like this. It's actually not on my watch list, but I'm going to put it there right now. I really like that potential setup. And then if we just kind of zoom out to like the hourly and the 4-hour, right? If we do get this deeper pullback, I also think this would be an amazing setup as well. Like if we do happen to come all the way back down and retest like these couple of deeper pullbacks that we got here. So if we get something similar to that, I think that's honestly the best opportunity, especially on like that 4-hour kind of more swing trading perspective. If we pull back into that area, I will be looking at it. So 2 areas to look at here for Euro CAD, potentially to continue this uptrend. I really like Euro CAD right now. I kind of want to look at some other pairs as well. NZD CAD, again, another pair that's just been dominating the top of the edge finder here for a while. This has been a great opportunity. Again, I'm not in any trades currently because some of my entries just got front ran. Like I just wasn't able to get those deep enough pullbacks that I wanted. But NZD CAD was waiting for this little pullback into here again, but it didn't happen, right? It was just off to the races. And now we're just continuing this massive uptrend that NZD CAD has been in. I mean, guys, look at this, right? And if you guys want to know, you know, whether or not the Edge Finder can put you onto some of these trends, I mean, NZD CAD, I can tell you, I've been staring at this. I've taken some trades on this pair in the past couple of weeks. This pair has been consistently at the top of the Edge Finder for the past couple of weeks, and this uptrend definitely backs that up, right? So now where do we stand on NZD CAD? I still think this is a great buying opportunity, right? We've basically just created a range here, and I'd be waiting for a more significant breakout and retest of this range. So yes, did we kind of break out here? We did. Maybe this is a retest. Maybe that's a good entry, but I personally would prefer if we broke out a little bit harder than this, got a nice retest, and then did something like that to continue this NZD CAD uptrend. So I really like NZD CAD. Potential longs, right? That is on my watch list right there, and I will be monitoring this to see if I can, you know, get a good longing opportunity. Maybe buying off of this little support right here, since this is such an aggressive trend, that could be a decent option. This is probably like that 382 level. This is like that in between 382 and 0.5, depending on how deep it goes, right? So this wouldn't be the deepest pullback here, but it would still be valid. So depending on how aggressive you want to take an entry on this, right? Do you want to wait for the breakout, you know, more significant breakout of this level, or are you okay with taking a bit more of an aggressive entry there on NZD CAD, right? That's up to you. But I would definitely be long biased on NZD CAD, right? I think this is one of the better setups in the market. I think Euro CAD and NZD CAD are 2 of the better trends in the market, and that's why I am definitely interested in focusing on them. What about Euro AUD? We could take a look at Euro AUD. Let's take a look at Euro AUD for Mr. Vector. Here. Yeah, Euro AUD again. Look, Euro is rallying today. We have a nice bullish trend here. We can see what the Edge Finder has to say about Euro AUD, see if it gives us any kind of edge here. +2 in still in the neutral category, so hasn't got that +3 to move up into the buy category yet. However, I still think this looks pretty bullish on the technical side, right? So I would say it's not the strongest trend in the market. It's definitely not the strongest trend in the market. But you know what? If we were to get a nice impulse move here, nice impulsive move, and then you get that Fibonacci correction, right? I think playing the continuation of that trend makes sense, especially if you retest into something like that, right? Basically just looking for that impulsive move, that correction, and then potentially the continuation. So Euro AUD, again, the Euro looks pretty strong, especially as we try to break out from some of these highs here. Yeah, so if Euro AUD can do something like this, that may be a good opportunity. I think there's better trends, but I would probably be leaning bullish on that pair based on what I see. Me to look at silver. I'll take a look at silver in a sec. I do want to focus on some of the currency pairs. We could take a look at silver. I haven't looked at silver in a little while, but it's been bullish with gold, right? It's been bullish along with gold. I'm going to delete some of this old analysis here. Let's take a look at kind of these levels that we have here on silver. So I would say silver is kind of at a critical level here on the daily. I think it's at like a must hold level for bulls. Let me just update this to kind of right here, just so it's a little bit cleaner, right? So I think this is a must hold level of support for bulls. If you're a silver bull, this level of support has to hold, right? And I actually don't think it's a bad buying opportunity. I don't trade silver, so keep that in mind. But if silver can actually, get some nice confirmations out of this area, it wouldn't be a bad buy. Like, we've been in an uptrend, right? Commodities have been doing pretty well, especially with a weak dollar, right? This is something where if the dollar decides to go weak again, this will probably look like a really, really nice opportunity. So I think silver's bullish overall, but we are at a critical area here, right? We are at a critical area. We need to rally off of this little level, and then we can start to push up maybe into like, these previous highs up here. So if we can rally off this level, I think silver has a ways to go to maybe fill in some of these highs. So that would actually make for a pretty decent buying opportunity. But like I said, this is a must-hold level for silver, in my opinion. And I think the same can be said with gold. I don't think gold is as clean, but let's just take a look at this on gold here. We rejected off of these trend highs, and now we're moving down. So now the question is for gold, right? Like I was listening in, and Trader Nick said earlier, when you break out of a trend like this that we've had on gold, when you break out of a trend like this that you have on gold, you want to see a strong follow through, because we've been trending down aggressively for a long time. We finally break out. We get some bulls to step in finally after months and months and months. Now the question is, do we stall out, or can the bulls continue that momentum on gold, right? So that's the question. I really don't like gold where it's at right now. Like, I think I'm probably leaning bullish on gold just based on the most recent price action. But I really don't like it right now. Has it rejected off these highs? And as it moved down to these lows, I would just put gold personally, for me, who's somebody who looks at the hourly, the 4 hour, in a big no trade range, to be honest with you, because I just don't like anything in here for gold. So I either need to get back above these highs to then continue playing this bullish structure, or maybe if we come all the way back down to these lows, it's worth taking a shot at a retest of this level right here, right, that we did briefly retest before. So I'd say either buying it off these lows or breaking out of these highs is the only things that I'm looking at for gold personally. I don't love it much. I don't love this structure here. I think there's better trends in the market to focus on. And that's not to say that the low time frames don't have anything, guys, right? Like, the low time frames very well might have something, right? Could this be a setup, right? Could there be a setup on a reclaim of this level? There could be a lot of things happening here on the low time frames, but like I said, I do look at like the higher time frames, hourly, 4 hour trends. So me personally, right, I just don't love gold right now. Can I check Euro, JPY, AUD Yen? Yeah. I do want to briefly talk about, we were talking about the CAD pairs. So let me just talk about one more CAD pair, and then we'll move on to some of the yen pairs just to kind of keep everything more organized, So we were looking at NZD CAD and Euro CAD, right? How these have been amazing trends. I also think CAD Swiss has been an amazing trend, right? And I was able to actually catch some sells here on CAD Swiss. So this is my most recent and my only trade of the week. But I was actually able to sell CAD Swiss right here, take it all the way down to this level right here. And that's where I closed out my trade at the end of New York session yesterday. So missed a little bit of downside here that I could have caught if I kind of turned this into a swing trade. But overall, this was a really, really nice setup for me. I was potentially waiting on re-entry, right? I was potentially waiting on re-entry because we had kind of reclaimed this little level here. And I was like, you know what? If price moves back up into this supply zone again, I could potentially, take another entry on CAD Swiss. That's not what happened. And we just continued to move down. However, right, I think CAD Swiss still has some selling opportunities here. If we were to push back up into this area, could we have another selling opportunity right there on CAD Swiss to kind of just continue this beautiful downtrend that we've been in? I mean, guys, look at this hourly downtrend. This has just been a work of art, right? This has been a great trend to be a part of from the selling side. And if we go take a look at the edge finder, I want to show you something. We are a -3 sell on the edge finder, right? So it's not the strongest sell in the market. However, I want to look at kind of one metric here. If we actually jump inside of the analysis for CAD Swiss, I want to take a look at one metric here as the edge finder loads to show you guys one thing that really, really made me bearish on this pair besides just the technicals, right? Besides just the technicals. And here we go right here, right? So what you see right here is the retail sentiment number, and still just kind of loading right here. Just give it 1 second here. We could jump into the retail sentiment section as well. Right, but right here, okay. So you see the retail sentiment right here. Basically, this is just showing you the overall sentiment in the positions that retail is taking in the market. And even though CAD CHF is only a -3 because of certain COT data and GDP growth and other things, when we look at the retail sentiment, we can see that retail is currently 97% long on CAD Swiss. And anytime you have retail that offsides, that position into one side or the other, in my opinion, there's an opportunity to continue squeezing retail out of their trades, basically, right? So when we have CAD Swiss clearly in a downtrend on H1, on H4, on the daily, every single time frame of this pair is in a downtrend right now. We have retail 97% long. This makes for CAD Swiss to be an attractive short, in my opinion, right? Some of these moves already played out, and we are kind of approaching what may be a daily level down here, but I still think there's some room on the table, especially if we get that pullback here, right? So this is what I'd be waiting for on CAD Swiss for potential re-entry, is if price moves up into this area right here, I think that's a good selling opportunity there on CAD Swiss. All right, so that's basically a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at. That was my one trade for the week, was taking those shorts on CAD Swiss, and now I'm kind of just looking for setups to take more trades. Euro Yen, AUD Yen. Yeah, we'll look at some of the yen pairs. All right, so what's interesting about Euro Yen is you can see I have a lot going on my chart right now. That's because this little line right here is that monthly support level that we actually ran. We ran those lows, and now we are reclaimed. We have reclaimed and are trading above that monthly support level. So that's going to be pretty bullish for me for the euro. Also, what you can see is that we have this uptrend, right? And we did briefly deviate below the lows of this trend line. But of course, trend lines it's not scientific, right? It's not like a perfect line in the market that the market has to respect. And now we are moving up. So basically, we have respected the higher time frame trends here on Euro Yen. And now we are starting to get some bullish momentum to the upside. So now the question is, can we follow through with this bullish momentum and start trading back above a level like this? Trading back above a level like this. Trading back above this level here. So if Euro Yen could potentially retest this area, could we get that bullish upside to kind of just continue this uptrend that Euro Yen has been in? I think this makes sense. We've seen some strength out of the euro. So, euro longs do look pretty attractive at the moment. if that euro strength, of course, remains to be apparent in the market. And this is going to be the level that I'm looking at as kind of a reclaim level, right? We already respected this trend. We got back above the trend. We respected the monthly support, right? We can go back to the monthly and kind of just take a look at this. We're trending up on the monthly. We respected this level of support. Is it possible in the next 24 days and 7 hours left on this monthly candle that this flips green and starts pushing up towards these monthly highs right here? Is it possible at all that euro yen could push up towards these monthly highs that we've put in the bottom wick? We've respected this monthly support. Could we start pushing up there on euro yen? I think that makes sense. So from the high time frames, I think we have room to go up on euro yen. We can see if the edge finder has any bias for us here on euro yen. Where's euro yen? Am I staring right at it? Yeah. So euro yen is a +2 neutral buy, but right, all it needs is one more category to go bullish, and this will move into the buy category. What's good, Tony? So yeah, euro yen makes sense for buys in my opinion. Not right at this very level right here, because we are still kind of at this little level of resistance. And if we just clean this up a little bit, you can see that to be true. We're just right here trading at this little level of resistance. But if we can break up, right, get some nice bullish structure going, these will be opportunities to potentially buy euro yen, right? So we're looking at a potential reversal here. We've been in a downtrend on euro yen. We've been in a downtrend, right? Could we potentially get that reversal here to go back into an uptrend and catch some nice longs? How am I able to look at all these pairs and keep track of them and not miss trades? So what I do, Raphael, and that's a great question. I used to not trade this many pairs. I used to only focus on like pound yen, euro yen, a couple of the dollar pairs in gold. Like I had maximum 5 pairs that I was looking at. And now a lot of you guys see me and you're like, oh my gosh, you're trading so many pairs. How do you do that? Well, first of all, it was just kind of a gradual process over time to where I started to get much more comfortable in the market. I started to understand the correlation between pairs. And I know, okay, if this pair is moving this direction, most likely this pair is moving in this direction, right? So I started to understand the relationships and the correlation between those currencies more. And once you understand the correlations between currencies and in the nature of currency pairs and how they move, you can start to be more comfortable with trading more pairs, right? You only trade one pair and you're still successful. Yeah, you really only need one pair. You don't need to trade every pair. I'll tell you why I trade a lot of pairs. One, it made it a lot easier when I got the edge finder, right? I'm like straight up, it made it a lot easier when I got the edge finder. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the stream, I promise, guys. Because it shows me the strongest trends in the market. So I have stuff that I can look at here, right? I have stuff that I can look at here. Let's get rid of neutral. And we can just, even if we just get rid of sell and buy, and we just only look at strong buy, strong sell, that filters down the whole market into a few key pairs that you can look at. And you can say, okay, this week, I'm just going to focus on these pairs. And then next week that might change. And I'm just going to focus on those pairs, right? So that is how I can kind of filter out some of that process. Also, what I do at the beginning of every week and as the week goes on, I set alerts, right? So I'll do my analysis and then I'll set an alert. And then sometimes I will forget about a pair, and then all of a sudden my alert gets hit, and then I'm back on it, right? So I'll put it on my watch list for either a buy or sell bias. You can see the little greens and the reds here. Some of these I need to update. But then I set some alerts. My alerts get hit, and then I'm ready to go take a look at that pair and see if it's still worth, taking action on that. So that's just kind of like a couple of ways that I manage all that. And let me talk about the reason that I've started trading more pairs. Because I've actually gotten a couple of comments on some YouTube videos, some troll comments and whatnot, just saying, oh, you'd be so much more profitable if you only traded a couple of pairs. You look at too much, blah, blah, blah. I used to only trade a couple of pairs, and here's what would happen. I would trade really, really well when the pairs were trending. So I would trade really, really well when something's trending like Euro CAD is right now. This is a great trend to be a part of. And you're obviously going to want to be just looking at buys here on Euro CAD. So if the pairs that I was looking at were trending well, I would trade really well. I'd go on a win streak. I would feel on top of the world. I'd feel like a great trader. I'd feel very confident. But then once my pair would enter consolidation, right? And I don't necessarily know a great pair to go like give you an example of. for consolidation. I don't know. Even like Euro CHF here, even though it is trending up, I don't have like a great, I don't know exactly off the top of my head what's consolidating right now, but you guys understand the point, right? If the market's going sideways, I don't want to be trading this. So what would happen is the pairs, I would limit myself to only a couple of pairs. And then what happens when my pairs are no good to trade? What happens when my pairs are not trending? Then I would start to give back those profits. I would start to force trades that I really shouldn't be taking. I was starting to trade, B minus and C setups instead of trading A plus setups. And once I started focusing on trading the best trends in the market and not really caring about the pair, just caring about the trend, I actually started to, my win rate went up, right? My overall risk to reward went up. Everything just got better. So I would say it's very personal as to like what pairs you want to trade. And you don't have to trade every pair, but just understand if you're only limiting yourself to one pair, unless you're trading on like the 5-minute time frame or you're a scalper, right? If you're more of an intraday or a swing trader and you're only trading one pair, there may not always be opportunities on that pair, right? There may be a month or a couple of weeks or even longer where that pair is in consolidation and there's really no good trades for you. So the only thing I'd say is if you are trading one pair, scalping is probably what you're doing, right? Scalpers can kind of just focus on one pair because every single day when you look at the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart, there's going to be, those lower time frame trends to catch. I don't think we looked. Did we look at AUD JPY yet? Sorry, I got kind of off track there. Thank you, Brave Star. You did ask that question. You've been patient waiting for me to do AUD Yen, so we'll take a look at AUD Yen. I think that just based on this structure here, AUD Yen looks pretty bearish. This actually was like a beautiful little 4-hour resistance here that we tapped up into. I don't know if any of you guys caught this, but I certainly was not looking at this and I did not catch this, but this would have been a great selling opportunity right here just to kind of continue this downtrend. Right now we have some lows down here that we'll probably need to contest with. So AUD Yen, I would say it looks bearish, but also we do have some like 4-hour, if we extend this level all the way over here, we do have some 4-hour, in daily support here to look at. So could we break these lows? We certainly could. And the truth is, if this breaks below these lows here and gets that retest, I think that looks pretty good for sells. If we just look at the most recent price action and we just, we look at the fact that we're making lower lows and lower highs, right? This was a great selling opportunity right here. And I think if we break and retest right here, that could also be a good selling opportunity on AUD Yen. We can check the edge finder and see if there is any significant bias on AUD Yen. I don't think there is. It's a -2 sell currently, so we are leaning into that sell category, right? If one more of these categories flips to a bearish category, we'll be at that -3. We'll be in a sell category for AUD Yen. So, right, looking at sells potentially there on AUD Yen would make sense to me if we can break those lows. US 30 is tagging daily support. Yeah, let's go take a look at some of the indexes. I know Nick talked a lot about the indexes today. And he honestly probably has much more experience and success trading the indexes than I do. But yeah. Yeah, guys, by the way, I haven't really mentioned it much, but thanks for A1 Trading for reminding me. If you do want the edge finder and you want to save some money when you check out and you want to support me especially, you can use code Jake, just JAKE at checkout for the edge finder or any A1 trading product, and you will get a I believe 25% discount. I think their Black Friday sale is over and their Cyber Monday sale is over, but you can get that 25% discount with code Jake on the edge finder if you want it. Not only is it a great software, but it would also support me because they definitely give me a little kickback. And I honestly, I don't work. If you guys go check out my channel, I really do not work with any companies, any products. I'm very, very, very selective with who I work with and who I promote. I've gotten some offers, right? I've gotten people reaching out to me to promote stuff, and I'm very, very selective with it because I want to truly only recommend things that I think work, that I use, and that I would, feel comfortable recommending to my audience. And You know, it's no different just because I'm on the stream. Like, I genuinely use the Edge Finder every single day, and that is why I've decided to recommend them and work with them, right? I have no problem recommending and promoting products that I think are genuinely good products. But let's take a look at US30 here, right? I believe US30 is ranking as a buy here, +5 on the Edge Finder, and it's been a great buy. It's been a great buy, but now we're entering some, like, you know, sketchy territory here for US30. I think this is the absolute, like, final boss level to hold right here for bulls. Like, this level on US30 needs to hold, in my opinion, right? If we look on the 4-hour, what do we see here? We've now deviated back below this level here. This was kind of that we're in a bull market level, right? This is that significant lower high in the market where we were trending down. This was the last significant high right here before this massive move to the downside. And once we broke above this level, I started seeing, I am on Twitter, and I honestly think Twitter is like a good way to gauge sentiment from retail traders and from like average people. Because when you follow a lot of people on Twitter, what you start to see is like their thoughts in real time on the market. And I started to see like some, you know, stocks are back in a bull market, bear market's over, Fed is pivoting, right? I started to see all the sentiment up here. And now we've deviated back below, and we're now trading below this level. So could we just could we put in some support here and rally? We absolutely could, and that would be the best case scenario for the bulls there on US30. And I think even like taking some of those last case scenario buys would make sense. I'd say really 2 levels here. I'd say this is probably the final boss level, to be honest, because we do have some stuff right here. I'd say let me just drag this down and say from a daily perspective, right, the market really should respect this level that we're at right now and then start to rally from there. This is like the market, you know, bulls need to step in here at this point. And if they don't, then we're going to start to slip back into that like bearish trend, that bearish sentiment, bear market for stocks and risk on, essentially, right? So it wouldn't be a bad idea, you know, if you're a bull on US30 to take kind of a last stand buy right here, because the invalidation is pretty clear, right? You could potentially, especially if you're a swing trader, right? This is kind of more of a swing traders type trade. But if you were to take an entry right there and place your stop loss, like, you know, way down here, maybe even if you really want to be safe below these lows, you have a pretty clear invalidation, and that's a nice risk to reward just back up to these highs. And then, of course, if we continue, that's a great risk to reward. So taking buys right here from a purely risk to reward and like kind of a last level of support, clear invalidation perspective, I think that makes sense. But then if we lose this level right here, right? If we lose this level on US30, I think things start to look a little bit uglier. In the worst case scenario starts to creep in, where we actually break this support, we retest into this area, and then we can start to move down into this next level of demand down here, which I actually think is a pretty clean range right there, right? We have about 3% there on US30 where we could move down into that level. And then once we get to this level, you have to start asking yourself, okay, are we going to break through this level, get that retest, and then start to move down even further? And was this whole thing just a big bull trap to kind of bait people into some late longs here above this, you know, significant lower high in the market? You have to ask yourself these questions, right? Because you know that this was an area where people were heavily looking at this area to break, to kind of flip that trend. And a lot of times those areas can be great sources of liquidity for big players to get entries in the opposite direction. Hey Jay, great content. Is there any chance you can change the background to white? You watch a stream on your phone and the sun reflection makes it hard on your glasses. I'm sorry, Julio, but for my eyeballs' sake, I have pretty sensitive eyes. I have a light blue eyes. I don't know if you guys can tell on the stream, but all this light, I have 2 big monitors set up, and all this light blaring into my eyes for as much as I look at the chart. If I had my eyeballs, if I had my chart on white, I genuinely think my eyes might fall out of my head. So for the sake of my eyeballs, I got to keep it on black. Plus, I'm so used to it that I think I see things much more clear in this way. And generally, I think it's just like whatever you're used to, right? I think there's some people who probably trade on a white chart and they're probably like, You know, I can't see any price action on the dark chart. But for me, when I look at a white chart, I'm like, what even? I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know how to trade anymore. I would have to relearn how to trade if I were to have to switch to a white chart. So I wish I could appease everybody, Julio, but unfortunately I got to keep it on dark. You know, I feel like that's a very controversial topic. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys trade on a dark chart or a light chart? I want to get a gauge. I want to get a gauge of what you guys think. Do you guys trade on dark chart, light chart? I feel like it's a very controversial opinion. You're a white chart trader, dark chart, dark chart. Yeah, I feel like that's a very very heated. You like a strobing background. Yeah, there you go. Okay, trade it to change it to neon green. How about that? Gray chart. Okay, we got a gray chart. I would put that in the light. I would go to a gray chart before I went to a white chart. But I still think that would not be good for me. Dark mode, light, MT5, white. Yeah, see, it's literally 50-50, guys. So if I were to change the chart to light, then all the dark chart people would get mad at me. You love the dark chart. Yeah, I just think it's whatever you're used to. I mean, I know people who trade on a gray chart with blue candles and white hollow candles, and I'm like, I think it's the ugliest thing ever, but they're great traders. So who am I to judge, right? I think at the end of the day, as long as you can read the market efficiently and turn a profit from the market, you could have no chart. You could just do whatever you're doing. East Coast of the US on the London session at 3 a.m. would blow my retinas out. Yeah, exactly, Sean. That is literally when I trade too. So I'm typically like on the charts heavy from like, I don't know, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 a.m. midnight to like London session open. That's generally when I get my entries. And then so if I were to be sitting at 2-3 in the morning staring at a white chart, I think my eyes would fall out. Let's see what I know we have some news coming up. Let's see what news we have today. So we have AUD, we have GDP today. Tomorrow for CAD. All right, so I was talking about how the CAD has been very bearish, right? The CAD has been very bearish. If we look at Euro CAD, it's been going up. Pound CAD's been going up. CAD CHF's been dumping. Even USD, which has been pretty bearish, USD CAD is pumping, right? So the CAD has been weak, and that's been a great trade. But what we have to consider now is that we have a potential interest rate increase tomorrow on the CAD. So if you're looking to trade the CAD, you have to take this into consideration, and you have to either kind of go 50-50 on the on what's going to happen here with these interest rates, or you have to wait for that momentum to come into the market and then see if you can just play off that momentum after these interest rates get raised or not get raised, right? So right now we are expecting the overnight rate to go from 3.75% to 4.25% on the Canadian dollar, which would be a 50 basis point rate hike. Generally speaking, that would be bullish for a currency, right? If we even just click into here into Forex Factory, generally speaking, interest rates getting increased are going to be bullish for a currency. But here's the thing, when the market has already priced in or is expecting a 50 basis point rate hike and you don't beat those expectations, oftentimes it could have the opposite effect, right? The market is forward looking. It doesn't wait for that news to take action. It doesn't wait for that news to take action. It speculates beforehand. So right now, I think the market is pricing in, and the reason that we've seen CAD go so weak, especially this week in general, is because the market is probably pricing in the fact that these rate hike expectations are not going to get beat, that probably we're only going to get a 50 basis point rate hike on the Canadian dollar, right? So we'll have to wait and see what happens here with the CAD, but definitely keep that in mind. If you're looking to trade the CAD, we do have interest rates tomorrow, which are a significant news event in the market, right? So if for some reason the CAD comes out and this rate, if this overnight rate goes to 4.5%, and we beat this 4.25% expectation to the upside, that is going to be very, very bullish for CAD, and maybe some of these downtrends come to an end and the CAD can start to catch a reversal. Whereas if we come in as expected or lower than expected, right? Let's say we come in with a 25 basis point rate hike and, you know, we only go to 4%. That's going to be very, very bearish for the CAD, and we could continue to see more Canadian dollar downside. So keep your eyes on those interest rates tomorrow for the CAD. Then we have unemployment claims the next day, and then we wrap up the week with some PPI and some consumer sentiment on the dollar. So not a crazy news week by any means, but definitely at this point, the main thing that we're looking at here, at least, you know, coming up in the near term, is these Canadian dollar interest rates. CAD Yen was a great sell. Yeah, CAD Yen wasn't a fantastic sell right here. Was probably one of the better sells that I've seen in the market in a long time, where price basically just, we came all the way up back to this level. We retested. We even got a bearish engulfing candle with, you know, that shooting star kind of a top wick. This entry would have been absolutely sensational, right? Like barely any pullbacks, barely any drawdowns, would have been an amazing, 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 amazing entry. So, right, these are the types of opportunities that don't come around all the time, but when you get them, you want to hang on to them. I still think CAD Yen is pretty bearish right now. Like, we put in this little double top here, so I would actually move this resistance down to this level. We are approaching a higher time frame level of support here. So, right, this is something to watch as we come into those interest rates. Like, if CAD Yen melts down here, and then all of a sudden Canadian dollar like beats interest rate expectations and gets like a 75 basis point rate hike, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the bottom for CAD Yen, right? So we have to keep our eye on that news. The fundamentals and the technicals go hand in hand. We are approaching this higher time frame level of support for CAD Yen. I would say I'm still bearish as of now, but I'd be like cautiously bearish on this pair, right? You got a 10R. Wow, that's an amazing trade. I don't think I've ever gotten a 10R in my life other than on like long-term position trades, right? Like crypto, like holding crypto and stocks and stuff like that. I've made some really nice trades doing that, but on just like my Forex trades, I don't know if I've ever gotten a 10R. Living in the middle of the world has got to be the best for Forex traders. You wake up to London session, the overlap. Yeah, I'm envious of anybody who has great trading hours for London session, because I really, even if I lived in Europe and like I could trade London session and it was just the morning for me, that would be ideal. I don't know why, guys. I just don't love New York Open. Like, I feel like sometimes I'll wake up for New York Open because I'm on the East Coast of the US, right? So New York Open for me is 8 a.m. Sometimes I'll wake up at like 6:30, 7 a.m. to try to get on like that the hour before New York Open, and London already melted. Like, everything already moved, right? And then I can't catch a move maybe until like 11 a.m., noon in New York session. And then at that point, there's only like 3 or 4 hours until, it's not 3 or 4. If I get in by noon, you'll have 5 hours basically until the market rolls over, right? So I really prefer being in trades by London session, because then if you're on the winning side of a trade, you could potentially hold it all the way through London, all the way through New York, and then I could be out of my trade before the daily rollover, right? And then, that whole trade was taken within one day, and I caught one really nice daily move, and then we close out and move on to the next day. So my sleeping schedule is a little messed up. I feel like I've been doing the best that I can lately. But yeah, if I lived in another part of the world where I could trade London session and New York session, that would be great. All right, guys, if you haven't liked the stream, drop a like on the stream right now. That will get you recommended more content just like this, right? You're basically just telling the YouTube algorithm that you like this, that you want to see more like this, right? So drop a like on the stream right now. Also, if you're not subscribed here on A1 Trading, Trader Nick goes live with a new guest every single day of the week, 5 days a week. He is on the money with the stream times, and he will be here for you guys pretty much every single day, 5 days a week with a new guest, right? So subscribe to A1 Trading. You'll get lots of different perspectives on the market, including my own. Every single Tuesday, I'm here. So if you guys liked what I brought to the table today and you want to see more from me, make sure you tune in every Tuesday here to A1 Trading. And you could check out my channel, Trader Jake. That's my name. You can check out my channel, subscribe to my channel. I do go live on my own. I do post my own videos, right? I do make my own content, and you could go check that out as well. So thank you for everybody for hanging out with me today. By the way, one last quick plug. If you do want the Edge Finder, right? We talk about the Edge Finder here a lot on the stream. Trader Nick, this is Nick's software. He talks about it a lot. But again, if you want to get that discount on the Edge Finder, if this is something that you want, you could use my code JAKE, J-A-K-E, at checkout. I think you'll save 25%. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's always a pleasure. Nick will be back live tomorrow morning like clockwork, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. And remember to check the description below if you're looking for a new broker or looking for a trading community to join. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.